In this Photoshop quick fix video, we're going to take a look at how to use Photoshop's filters to go from a blank white page to creating usable backgrounds that you can use for book covers, for web graphics, and so on. So the first thing we want to do is select a color, and I'm going to go with tan, more like a brown, something. We'll say something like, we'll go with a light version there. And I'm also going to do the same for the background color. Except this time I want something darker because I want a contrast between the two colors. So you can see that I have a tan and then a brown here. So the next thing I'm going to do is choose Filter, Render Clouds. And you notice that it has created some nice clouds there. The next thing I want to do is add a little bit of noise. And I want it to be monochromatic noise. Now we don't need a lot. This is kind of like salt. Season to preference. Okay. And I can click OK. And then just with this alone, we could apply some burning around the edge to make it look like a nice paper, like a dark paper. I could use levels, Control L, to lighten this whole mess up here. So it looks like an antique paper. We can select all, which is Control A, come up to select, modify border, choose 200 pixels. Then we're going to select, modify feather by 100. And I'm going to hit Control H to hide the selection. And then levels, bring up levels, Control L, and just start turning the midtones down and watch what happens to the edges. So we end up with this cool looking paper background that you could use for anything, that you don't have to buy stock photography for or anything like that. And of course you can use any kind of color combinations. You can use hue to shift the colors if you like, which is Control or Command U. And just by, actually we need to deselect the background there first. Bring up Control U. And so we can change the color to whatever we prefer. We can lighten it or do whatever we want. So it's a quick and easy way to create a cool looking paper-like background without a lot of effort. And I've done this for years. I do it all the time. Now let me show you another really cool method that we can build upon using this method here. I'm going to make a copy of that layer just by dragging it down onto Create New Layer. And I'm going to choose Filter, Blur, and we want Motion Blur. And I'm going to change the angle to 90 degrees so that it goes straight up and down. And I'm going to increase it to 2000 pixels. Hit OK. The next thing I'm going to do is choose Filter, Noise, add noise again. We'll make it a little bit more, 23%. Hit OK. And then Filter, Blur, Motion Blur. And I'm going to apply that twice. And the object of the game here is to get these streaks going. Maybe another third time just for good measure. And so now you notice that we have this streaking. And if I'm going to make another copy of this background and set it out of the way for a minute. And with this particular version here, I'm going to actually turn the opacity down just a little so that we can see just a little bit of the background showing through some of those clouds there. Like so. The other thing that I'm going to do is actually increase the contrast of this particular image here. And to do that, I'm going to choose Image, Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast, and just increase that contrast a little bit. Hit OK. And the last thing I'm going to do is actually make a copy of the background we're going to combine these two layers together. So right mouse click, merge layers. And so now we have the beginnings of a really cool wood pattern. Okay, now check this out. If we go up to filter, stylize, or not stylize, we want, what do we want? Distort. And I think we'll choose wave. Now I can go in and vary these patterns. And the object of the game here again is we're creating variation in this pattern. It doesn't have to be a lot. We just want a little bit. Because remember, we're creating a wood pattern here. So you want to experiment with the settings just a little bit, just to kind of change things up a little here. We'll click OK. And so now you can see it's taken on more and more of a wood look. The last thing I'm going to do is make a copy of this layer again. You'll see down in the right hand corner. Come up to filter, and we want to stylize, emboss, and I'm going to increase the height here just a little bit, maybe 25. I want it to have some depth. Okay, and then I'm going to set the blend mode from normal to overlay. And so now we have this background that looks like a wood panel. So I can combine all of these extra pieces together here. We'll just click the one that's hidden and these three. I'm going to right mouse click, choose merge layers. And so we have wood and we have paper. And by the way, you could add the dimensionality to the paper as well using the emboss tool like I just showed you. But just using these two methods, you can create two really cool looking backgrounds using nothing more than two colors and the filters that you'll find in Photoshop.